Hey, how's it going? Rich from Elk Endeavors here. Hey, today I wanted to follow up my last two videos with a final video about the psychology and the sort of money mindset that we've been talking about. So what I talked about on I think Thursday was the technical versus the emotional aspects of money. That's what I'm going to be talking about today is how to move away from the you know the negative emotions that we have toward money and move toward a place of happiness when we talk about money. So before we get started, I want to ask you, as I always do, why not you? Why can't you be successful? That's what I ask of myself all the time. I believe in myself. I will always bet on myself. And that's what I'm asking you to do is make sure that you know that there's a reason. Why not you? That's how I think of things, and that's how I want you to think of things. So, and also, if you like what I have to say, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to offer as much value as I can, and would love to hear your comments about possible new topics and things like that. So, all right, so we'll go ahead and get started. And I have my notes here. Out of respect for your time. The technical aspect, when we talk about the money mindset, the technical aspects of money have to do with like stocks and bonds and investments and things like that, right? So those things you can find books on. We talked about how like you can find books on the technical aspects of money. Now I've figured out, and I didn't know this, but you can find books on the emotional aspects of money. But no one writes books about how to spend money. Okay, and that should tell us something. No one's writing a book about how to spend your money. It's all about saving and investing and using it as a tool to make sure you grow it and it works for you again as a tool. Money is a tool. It's energy. It's an idea. It doesn't actually exist really physically much anymore. You don't hold it usually. That's where the emotional. We have to think about how much emotion we put into money. Okay, so and again, what I'm trying to do here is help you move from the negative emotions that we have, fear, anxiety, jealousy, and anger. Those are the four that I've sort of come up with. And then move toward happiness, right? And that's really what entrepreneurs do. That's something that, we try to figure out what problems people are having, figure out what their pain points are, and help them move in the direction of happiness, right? And that's what I've done for myself. And that's what I've tried to do with my business. So that's what I'm working toward. That's what I'm trying to help you with, and hopefully that'll come through. So the first two emotions, anxiety and fear, I kind of put those together, okay, as I was thinking about this over the weekend, and thinking about where these emotions come from. Like if you think about why you have fear and that's attached to money, and you think about anxiety and that's attached to money, those are really strong emotions. And they have to have come from somewhere. Like there's a reason you have these emotions toward money, and they have to have come from somewhere. So what I would suggest in terms of trying to move toward happiness is writing them down, right? Like write down where they come from. Why do you think you have them? And then think about, are those fears, or is the anxiety rational? Does it make sense, right? Once you write it down, then you can kind of think about like whether it makes sense or not. Okay, so if you can if it is rational, if these fears are rational, then you can kind of think about and take actions toward alleviating those fears, right? So one of the things is we always talk about like we're not having enough money, right? We feel like we don't have enough. There's not enough. And it's all this is extremely valid. These are extremely valid emotions. Um, so what you want to do is kind of think about where you can cut. Where can you cut your spending? Okay, and if you look at your bank statement or you look at the cash in your wallet, think. And again, you don't really have cash in your wallet, but think about where that money goes, right? If you're going, and then the sort of the age-old example is going to get coffee, Starbucks, right? If you're going to Starbucks every day and you're spending, $3 and 45 cents. That's what my drink costs at Starbucks, right? If you're going there through the drive-through every day, or even like 10 times a month, that's 30 odd dollars, right? 35 or so, right? That's money that could be spent elsewhere. Okay, and you have to think about what that money really does for you. How did that $35 work for you? How did you put it to work for you? So that's something you can always kind of think about, where you cut or where you can cut, and what emotions go with that spending. Like why would someone go to Starbucks 10 times a month? Why would they do that, right? And why would you do that? So if that's something that you're doing, kind of think about, okay, well, why am I doing this? And then think about how you can change that to even cut it down to like 3 times a month or something like that. Maybe it's a special occasion, or more of a special occasion, right? And there's some people that go every day. and there's a lot more expensive drinks than the one I use, or I drink. Oh, and then think of it, if these fears are not, I mean, excuse me, if these emotions of fear and anxiety are not rational, like once you write them down and think about them, if it's not rational to be thinking like that, how can you change your thinking, right? How, if you have a fear of not having enough, and it's never ever happened that you don't have enough money, you always have enough. You might not have like plenty of or an abundance of, and that's where we're going to get toward happiness. But you might have always had enough, like when it really boils down to it. So how can you change your thinking? How can you get away from that fear and anxiety, which is therefore irrational, and move that toward happiness, right? All right, so number three, so fear and anxiety. Number three is moving away from jealousy. We talked about jealousy, or I talked about jealousy the other day, and jealousy is a huge factor when it comes to money, because people see other people. It's kind of like the keeping up with the Joneses idea, right? Thinking about like what other people have and what you want. And so you have to think about like where that jealousy comes from. Again, just to think about inside, like where do these things come from? Where do they come from? And again, thinking about, and this is an interesting one. This is something I think is really important, like the way that we say that, the way that I say this, is, do you think that jealousy is the appropriate emotion when it comes to looking at other people's lives? Okay, because often you have, when you have someone who seems to have a lot of money or seems to have everything they want or everything they need, often we find out like in the background that there's a lot of problems, right? I mean, people, just because they have a lot of money and just because it looks good on the outside doesn't mean that they're not really struggling on the inside. And hopefully they're not. But that's the reality in many people's lives. So you have to think about, like, if someone's got a Porsche, or a Range Rover, right? That's my car that is a goal that I strive for. If someone's got that, I don't see that as jealousy. I see that as like, wow, I wonder how I can talk to them so I can figure out how they got the Range Rover, right? And so instead of thinking about jealousy, or instead of thinking of it in a jealous sense, because I don't know what's going on in their lives, right? They may have the Range Rover, but every other aspect of their life might be horrible, for all I know. I don't know. But that's something that you have to think about. So is jealousy really the appropriate emotion to have when you're thinking about other people? Okay. And then in terms of moving away from anger, this one is the easiest one in my opinion. Okay. Now I think that you have to take these in the way that they're intended, because I'm going to talk about like taxes. Okay. And so thinking about like the best way you can move away from anger is taking away the idea of anger when you spend money, and being happy that you're spending it, right? And so that's really, really hard when when someone gets, the tax bill, and that there's been an increase in taxes, or there's been an increase in rent, right? That can cause anger and really upset people. But ultimately, what we have to do, or what you can do to help yourself, because there's nothing you can do about it, right? And you have to think about the spirit in which the tax increase was intended. Okay, and again, like I'm not politicizing anything, and I know that there's a lot of waste and all that kind of stuff. But the point here is that the tax increase, like if you have school taxes that are increased, right? School taxes that are increased help the kids, help people, help the community, help all these different things. So what, instead of being upset about, you have an extra $200, $300 to spend each year on taxes, think about all the things that are helping, all the things that money is intended for, right? Don't worry about what actually happens with it, because I know, especially in terms of government, like a lot of the money gets wasted. I get that. I'm not making, well, I guess I am kind of making a commentary, but like that's not the point, right? The point is that when you think about like the roads, like you have roads because of taxes, and those roads are taken care of because of taxes. So that's something that you want, instead of being angry about it, be happy and offer it in with happiness, and therefore you'll get a much better reward for your thoughts and for your money. Okay, so when we think about how, and I'll finish off with this. When you think about your goals, like I've just basically told you like what not to do, or things that you can avoid, or things you can change, right, to stop doing. But when you're trying to get to happiness with anything, you can't go through it trying to not do the detrimental stuff, right? It'd be like playing a football game on defense the whole time. You're not going to win, right? You might not lose, well, yeah, you would lose. You can't win, right? If you're on defense all the time, okay, unless someone like picks up a fumble and runs in for a touchdown. So the way that you win, the way you actually get to happiness, is to actually go on the offensive, right? If you're always playing defense, you're never going to win. So do positive things that will move you toward happiness. Okay. So for instance, when you look at when you're spending money, whether you're putting a credit card through a machine or you're typing your number into Amazon, thank the money. I mean, it sounds kind of hokey, but it's not. If you thank it and you're gracious toward it, and you say thank you for doing the things that you did for me, and now I'm going to pass the money along to you, and hopefully someone else's life is going to be improved. That increases the energy, and that it like changes the energy that you have around money. Okay, be excited for the money, for like what the money's going to do for someone else. Yesterday I actually was taking propane tank. I switched to propane tank at a gas station. It's a local gas station. The gas is right now, it's like really, really low. And I've noticed that this place in particular has the gas is really low because of the guys trying to get people to come. So I had to get a propane tank. So I took the propane tank, and he gave me a discount for coming in and bringing I actually brought in 2 tanks. And he gave me a discount. And so he was happy that I was bringing business to him. And then he in turn, he returned that favor by offering me a discount, right? So I think I saved like $6, but I helped him with the 15 that I spent. And I don't know how much, what profit he made, but like the point is that we both had an exchange, like the initial transaction, but then we had this other transaction that had to do with our emotions, right? He gave me something, and in return, because I had given him something, I gave him something extra, and he gave me something extra. Okay, neither of us had to do those things, so that's a really important thing. And then you can encourage your money to grow. And I go back to the Starbucks example, right? If you think about like if you're not happy with your money's performance, okay, and the way that the money has worked for you, like if you think about and you go back and say, okay, let's say I spent $40 at Starbucks. If I go back and look at that $40, I'm not going to be happy with it, because I haven't used it to its fullest potential, right? It really got me nowhere. It didn't really, I can, like, if I really think about it, I can taste the coffee in my head. Caffeine doesn't affect me, but if I can taste the coffee. So it's not a matter of like, I need the taste. It's really just a matter of like, it's a habit. So that money hasn't worked very well for me. It's not done its job. So think about how you can encourage your money to grow, how you can encourage the money to work harder for you as a tool, and then you'll get toward that money happiness. So alleviating these emotions, the negative emotions of fear, anxiety, jealousy, and anger, that's one way to, that's a starting block. But then you really have to be proactive toward happiness and toward getting help, or toward helping your money work for you as a tool. And that's the way that you're really going to get from negative emotions about money toward happy emotions about money. So thank you very much for watching today. I hope this is very helpful. I enjoyed doing this series. Please let me know in the comments below if there's anything that you have of interest that you want to learn more about. I'm happy to talk about these things. Please like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if I'm offering value, and again, comment, and that would be awesome. I'd love to answer your questions. So thank you very much for being with me. I'm going to look down and make sure I turn off the recording, and have a wonderful week.